Hey there, friends. I thought today would be a good day to say hello from Portland, Oregon on the Fuller Bucky's birthday, July 12th. Um, so where are the articles? You'd usually on a birthday of a famous person, like here's Fuller getting the Medal of Freedom. That happened, and then he's a pretty interesting writer. We hear a lot about Americans who were interesting, but will we hear much today? So I'm eager to see what they did around his birthday, say in the New York Times, Washington Post. My guess is probably not much because the program has been to poo-poo the Bucky stuff, in a kind of a hopeless way because it's not possible, from my standpoint, to keep going down that particular strategy. So new strategies needed. I've seen some. Anyway, what's happening at School of Tomorrow? Not a whole lot. Synergio summer term. Synergio is a listserv, and that's where I encourage people to use the search box if there's something you want to look up. Just go to the search box and type some keyword, see if there's anything there. Maybe there is, maybe there isn't, but that's not your only resource, obviously. That's just where I'm suggesting for some like contemporary recent stuff, like quadrays. Quadrays are not in synergetics, and they're being used by people who have no real particular interest in synergetics. So I have a brand of quadrays, my own 40 solutions quadrays, that are specifically about learning synergetics in a easy way, right? Nothing too complicated here. In the School of Tomorrow, that is. So, there's a lot of cross talk, cross fertilization, you could call it, like bee colonies, right? There's a lot of bee colonies out there, and um, it's not all one big bee colony. I guess I meant to say, like, there's a lot of different brands of this and that. So yeah, we're looking at Martian math. I'll just end with this is a short one. Substations. So in Martian math, for those who are following or remember, we're looking at a science fiction context, right? You can write your own story, how you want it to go. It's like a universe, like the Marvel universe, or one of those, a universe in which you can inject all kinds of, let's call it fan fiction. But the overall arcing story that I'm doing anyway has ETs coming to Earth and wanting to work on hydroelectric dam construction because that's something they need to learn. They don't really their planet was not so well endowed, let's say. That's you could give it a backstory. So they do want to learn things from the Earthlings, but the Earthlings have a way of thinking that they're not used to. So they're young because more neuroplastic. Let's say they do have neuroplasticity, whatever that means for them. So they're young, are learning how to think more like Earthlings, which means more cube, more right angle, unlike what they're used to, right? So it's good for them. It gives them more awareness of their own paradigm to see another paradigm. And of course, this is all aimed at Earthlings because, in other words, our own kids, in studying this story in which they read about an alien uh, intelligence needing to work with them and understand them and trying to get its head around their math, the Earthling math, and all the cubes and stuff. They use tetrahedrons, obviously. Just being in a course where you're kind of empathizing with these. Okay, they're fictional, but it's a story, right? We're good at that. We spend most of our time in fiction, I would say, right? Mostly. Even the news is fiction. You can call it fake, I just call it fiction. We like stories, and that's why it's better to have math with a lot of storytelling. And I'm not just talking word problems. Those are pretty lame, pretty lame. Farmer John and his 10 acres, whatever, that gets old. You need some universe to play in with simulations and all the rest of it. So that's the Martian Math storyboard, and I've been continuing to develop that. And because of the hydroelectric dam aspect of it, we are interested in, learning about the grid and the grids, grid talk. When you see a substation, you going by on your bicycle like I was doing yesterday, coming from Gresham, I stopped and took some pictures of a substation, and because of the homework I'm doing, because I'm another student, right? Another student in the school of tomorrow, and I'm studying Martian math, and I'm realizing, yeah, we need to flesh out this grid talk some more. So if you're like in middle school or high school and you don't know how to read a substation, like, oh, there's the circuit breaker, there's the air gap disconnector, there's the transformer, the organelles, you could call them, the organelles. And then there are analogies you could make, between substation and construction of the heart, for example. Like a heart needs power itself, right? A heart needs blood. A heart is working hard all day, so it gets first dibs on fresh oxygenated blood. And in the same way, a substation takes some power right at the beginning of the whole thing to keep itself powered in case it needs the power to turn off circuit break or something. If there's no power to the substation to do its internals, then it's not going to be able to function. It reminds me of, say, the recently discovered nitroplasts, this pentagonal dodecahedron calcium carbonate. Inside it has pretty much everything a cell would need, but not everything. So they're calling it an organelle because it's inside of another creature that has the missing DNA parts to do the things that the cell can't do on its own. In other words, it's more than just symbiosis, right? So as Fuller school types, we're always interested in geometry of nature and that kind of thing. So this is topical for us. But in general, being a polymath means, or comprehensivist means, you're not afraid to read into different literatures and glean from them, like biology, right? We do that. We like to study anatomy of the heart, but anatomy of a substation, same thing. 150 blood clots, where is that from in Fuller's writing, right? Where does he talk about blood clots? That's a homework question. Don't have to answer. Just happy birthday to all of you who are celebrating today. Talk to you later.